Okay, great. Welcome, everybody. My name is Cheryl Bond. I'm the executive director of the Arts Council of Rockland. And I'm really looking forward to, as I know all of you are, to today's presentation about social media. But before I introduce our speaker, I just want to tell you a couple of quick bullet points about the Arts Council of Rockland. We are an organization that is dedicated to supporting and advancing the arts and artists in Rockland County. And a few of the key activities that we have going on throughout the year are providing professional development workshops. And we try to choose topics that are relevant for a broad range of disciplines in the arts. The next workshop, FYI, and this is all on our website, is taking place in February, and it's on pitches and grant applications, what funders ask for and why. And that presenter is a filmmaker, the head of the Rivertown Film Society, actually, here in Rockland, and he also works for the New York Foundation on the Arts. So he is very knowledgeable about the topic. So check out our website and look for the other topics that we have coming up. So in addition to the professional development workshops, which, by the way, if you're a member of ACOR, are free every month, yay, we also do a lot of exhibition and promotion opportunities for our member artists. We have a small fund called the Artist Support Fund. And we do like a signature event every year, the annual Arts Awards. So that's just a few of the things that we have going on throughout the year, but I invite you to visit our website, artscouncilofrockland.org. So I am going to stop talking. Well, I'm not. I'm going to introduce our speaker first, and then I promise I'll stop talking. I am very pleased to welcome Laurie DeRuntz. And this presentation is titled How to Improve Your Presence on Social Media. And I'm just gonna read your bio. So Laurie is a social media marketer and strategist. She has 20 years of experience in corporate marketing. She has been dedicated to social media for 5 years, helping nonprofits and small businesses improve their online presence. And a favorite quote of hers is, "Don't use social media to impress people, use it to impact people." And she uses this as a driving force in her work. She has a bachelor's degree in journalism from the Southern Illinois University at Carbondale, and she lives in the Hudson Valley with her family. So with that, I will pass it along to you, Laurie. Welcome.
Great. Hi, everybody. Thank you. Before I jump into this presentation, which it's a lot of slides and there's a lot of information, but I just wanted to say thank you so much for having me. I love this. I do a lot of one-on-one calls with people, but it's always nicer when you can sort of impact a whole group of people. It's more efficient, I think. So I'm really happy that you've all joined. But I also wanted to just say that there's a lot of information in these slides, and we're going to go over a lot. And I know I do webinars a lot, like I do tutorials and things. And my advice to you is to take out of this, if you get 1 or 2, maybe even 3 things out of this that you can take and use in your social media right away, that's great. Don't feel super overwhelmed by all the information that I'm giving you, because it'll be hard to digest. And Cheryl and I talked right before this call, and I can give you guys a shortened presentation. My deck is like 50 slides, but most of them have very little copy on them, but I'll give you something shorter that you guys can have to sort of take away with, and I'll recap at the very end what I think my top recommendations are. But I just wanted to share that because I feel like it could feel like a little overwhelm, and if you get a couple things out of this, that would be great. And if you do, and you I have my information at the very end. I'd love to hear from you if you have questions or anything. That would be great. So I'm going to go ahead and share my presentation. Get it up. Great. Okay. Can you all see my screen? Okay, good. All right. So yeah, so we're here to talk about social media, how to improve your presence. And what you're going to see really throughout this presentation is just there's tips and tricks to give you some ideas to make your time spent on social media more efficient and more intentional. I manage a social media page myself, and so I know how kind of daunting it can be sometimes to plan the content and schedule it. And, and so I've been doing this for a while, and I like to be able to share this because I think that some of these ideas can make your lives a lot easier. And we all need that, don't we? But what I want to do first is do a quick poll just to get a sense of, we'll do this one first. What social media platforms are you on? Just, type them in. I'll take a quick look at it. So do that one first. I'm going to skip ahead for a second and just write down if you're on Facebook, Twitter, if you're on multiple, write that down. But I'll skip ahead to me. As Cheryl said, I live in the Hudson Valley. I'm up in Cornwall, and I have a corporate marketing background. And the way that plays into how I approach social media is strategy was always kind of my sort of favorite thing about my job. And then when I switched to social media marketing about 5 years ago, the thing that I loved about it was because you had information. I used to be in corporate marketing where when things went wrong, all the operations people would say it's marketing, and all the marketing people would say it was operations. And no one ever really knew what was going on. But social media is so amazing because you actually have the data to tell you what's working and what's not working. And that makes your life easier and more efficient. It makes your time spent more fruitful, really. So yeah, so I'm a consultant. I do strategy work and audits and project work. And currently I'm the social media manager for the Edward Hopper House Museum. I'm in my 4th year, and I manage everything. I schedule the posts, I create the content. I manage a whole sort of content calendar for them, and I do all of the customer interactions, engagement. So I'm in it. I am in the trenches, and I have been in the trenches, and so I'm basically pulling from that. But oh good, we have 16 comments in the chat. So Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, website, Facebook, Instagram, Instagram. Yeah, not sure what I'm doing. I understand that. Instagram, Facebook, and I have a website, also a website, Facebook, Instagram, alignable, very limited. Okay. Yeah, I mean, that's great. I mean, what I manage for the Hopper House is Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. So what you're going to see throughout this is a lot of that. Those are the 3 main platforms. I'll speak to some of the others if anybody has any questions about those. I know that was a question prior to this call. And somebody says, I want to do Twitter. Okay, so I'm hoping that as we get through this, some questions that you are having, and I saw another one too, some of those will be answered, and we will do a Q&A at the very end. I think, we've allotted 15 minutes. If we get through it quicker, that'd be great. I mean, get through the presentation quicker to have more time. But all right, that's great. And so I guess if you could do one other thing, and this is going to get all crowded in here, but just tell me what your experience is. Let's say on a scale of 1, 2, 3. Number 1, you're a newbie. 2, sort of in the middle, and 3, you're pretty experienced. You do lives, you do reels, you're pretty good at making videos. Just so I can get a little bit of a sense of where everybody's at. Oh, these are quick. Okay. Oh, good. I see a lot of 2s. Thank you for this. I appreciate it. It's always nice, especially in a group like this. And if we were in person, it would be such a different story. An early adopter of Facebook, but left for Instagram. As many artists did. Facebook is tricky. Facebook, especially for artists. I mean, I think Instagram is a great platform for artists. 2, 2, 1, 1, 1, 2, 2, 2 to 3. That's great. 1, 1, 2. Okay, so that's kind of what I was expecting. I was expecting that there would be really sort of, you know, based on the number of people that were on here, kind of a wide range of experiences. And so again, this is a very kind of a general presentation, but I think on some level it can speak to everybody, and there's a lot of ideas that can speak across platforms. So we'll just get right into it. Let's go. I always like these. I like stats. You know, 72% of people, of all Americans, are at least on one social media platform. That was a study that was done late last year. Nobody here has to be sold on social media. You wouldn't be here if you needed to be, but and I think what's important about that, and I think that number is probably low, but I think social media, probably more than ever, is more important if you are a business, if you are a service, if you are doing anything to try to sell a product or anything online, because the pandemic has forced all of us to be online. And so getting your social media is, it's just as important as ever. And when you think about it, it's sort of wild. Instagram just turned 10 in 2020. And Facebook is really just 17 years old. So when you think about it, we're still kind of in that pioneering phase of social media. So you're smart to try to learn about it so that you can get better at it and be more efficient with it. These are the topics that we're going to cover. We're going to cover planning, content, engagement, audience building, and then how to measure success. So the one thing that I do with every client I've ever worked with is we always start out with kind of a roadmap. Well, the first thing I usually do is I do an audit, and I just look at their pages and see kind of what their strengths and weaknesses and opportunities are. But this, having a strategy, it's not the most exciting thing to do, but it is the number one thing that everybody who has a business on any social media platform needs to do, because you have to write down your goals. You have to figure out where you are right now so that you know where you're going, and that you know that you are successful. It's kind of like taking a road trip and you know, not having a map. You don't actually know when you've arrived, right? So so having a plan or a social media strategy is incredibly important, and you can do it on your own. You don't have to have someone like me to do it, but you can do it yourself. And I'm going to show you some of the things that I look at when I help a client create a social media strategy. But it's a document. It's going to outline your social media goals. You can have more than one, but these are the tactics that you're going to use to achieve them. So we're going to kind of go through a whole list of things, like a checklist, basically, that you'll use to create your strategy. And then in the very end, we're going to talk about metrics that you can use to track your performance so that you know if you've arrived. So the 5 things to ask yourself are, why do you want to be on social media? Who is your target audience? What are you going to share? What's your content? Where are you going to share? Like which platforms? And when are you going to share? What time, what days, what times are you going to share? So this is a good time for another poll. And so this could get really lengthy, and because I know some people have a lot of reasons for being on, but try to think of your primary reason for being on social media. What is it? Is it sales? Is it leads? Is it brand awareness? Increasing traffic to your website? Just write that in the chat. Community engagement, customer support, any of those things, just so that I can get a sense of, because I know with this many people, it's going to be a broad list to get my artwork into galleries. Absolutely. Galleries, sales of my art, editorial and travel assignments. Okay. Let's see. Get leads and increase exposure. Keep my brand top of mind. That's actually, brand awareness is the #1 reason by far for people who are on social media. It just heads and tails over anything else. Increasing traffic to my website, share artwork and get it exhibited in galleries. leads, client awareness, sales, increase traffic, have more people become familiar with my artwork. So awareness, client sales galleries, taking over art committee and want to get the word out. Good. Okay. Where events are, etc. Get my practice and my art seen by those, increase traffic. To stay in touch with people, right? Like a personal page, and now moving to generate sales for not yet written book. Okay, great. All right, this is fantastic. Oh, I see. Getting okay, excellent. Thank you for that. It just gives me a good sense of who I'm talking to, and I appreciate that, and I hope that this this presentation, I mean, even though it's somewhat general, I think it can speak to all of those things. All right, so you may have more than one reason. A lot of you had more than one reason. The important thing is to write them down. I'm a big believer in manifesting. There's something about writing it down, and when you write it, it's like an imprint on your life. And but it's smart to write them down, and then you can prioritize. What's the most important thing to you. And also, are they SMART goals? This is a really important thing. It feels so businessy speak, but it's true. Are they specific? Are they measurable? Is it something that you can even track? Are they easily attainable? Not easily, but can they be attained? Are they realistic and are they timely? Those are when you think about what your goals are. Like if you're trying to drive people to your website, you can look at website traffic. You have a lot of data on your own website. You can measure different things like that. We're going to talk at the end about metrics, but think about this when you're writing down whatever your goals are. Think about making them SMART goals. Here's just a quick example, and it feels like jumping ahead, but I just wanted to share this because it's just one example. But if you wanted to increase community engagement on Facebook, you could, when you're looking at your metrics, you could look at your shares of your posts, and you could say, I want to increase my post shares by 50% this year. If you have 100 shares, you want 200 shares. Increase your Instagram live viewers by 20% in the next quarter. So not just do Instagram lives, but think about when you're doing the live, what you can do to really increase your viewership. There's a lot of tips and tricks you can get just really right off the web about how to make your lives more impactful. Increase click-through rates by at least 10% this month. So these are things that you can do to increase your community engagement. If once you look at those metrics, you realize you're not getting there, you're nowhere near there, you kind of need to rethink what you're doing, because these are your goals. This is what's going to get you to where you want to go. These are the metrics to track. You can track likes and follows. You can track mentions, comments, shares, live viewers, because you can actually look at your viewership from Instagram analytics or Facebook analytics, and you can look at your own web traffic. So that's an example. I mean, it feels like it really did skip ahead a bit in terms of we haven't gotten through the rest of the deck, but I wanted you just to kind of have a sense of what we're going for when we're looking at writing down our goals. The other thing you should consider is, who is your target audience? Get really clear, super clear on who is your ideal customer. These are the people they're your people. That's a specific group of people that you want to reach with all of your social media posts. You want to look at your current audience. So I think the nice thing about everybody I saw some ones on here, but there was a lot of twos. And if you have been on social media for a little while, if you have a business page, you have information about your current audience. But you also can take a look at, even if you're not a business page, you can take a look at how many comments you're getting, how many engagements you're getting. Facebook is tricky. Instagram is definitely for engagement. It's just a better platform. People engage more on Instagram, but you can always take a look at your posts to see what's working and what's not working. So you want to see who's liking and sharing and commenting. You can actually look at insights from the platform to see different demographic information about your followers. You want to know what they're talking about. This is kind of gets into social listening, where you can go down a bit of a rabbit hole sometimes, but I do this with a Hopper House. Like if people are commenting, because on Facebook you can see top fans, And that's kind of nice because you know who's a real sort of super fan of your page, and you can go in and you can comment on their stuff without seeming too stalkerish, because they clearly want to interact with you. And let's say they're an artist too, and you can comment on their art as well. So you want to really get to know your audience, because that is going to help you get to your goal. My other thing that I do too, and I do this regularly, I check out the competition. I always want to know, I look at the O'Keeffe Museum, I look at the Whitney, I look at all different museums to see what people are posting about. It gives me ideas. And I also get to see who is commenting on their posts. We had a post the other day where there was something the other day that took me to an artist in Edmonton, Canada, and he's doing an exhibition on Edward Hopper. And so we interacted with him. He interacted with us. He's now following us. So, your audience is out there, but you have to engage with them. So we're kind of in the who, what, why, when, and where section of this presentation. The what is, what are you going to share? We have a whole section on content, but what you're going to share goes back to your goals and your audience. You just want to pay really close attention to what your audience wants, what your audience is engaging with. And even more importantly, what posts they're not engaging with. Because if they're not engaging, you don't want to post that anymore. And so, my suggestion is to always experiment with different types of posts just to test what content works. Video is great. Reels are great. Stories are great. Lives are great. Anything video, because it cuts through, a lot of there's a lot of clutter on social media, but just, be open to experimenting with different kinds of content. And this is the other thing. This is so, the idea of where are you going to share? I think this can be pretty tough. I don't know if I did see a couple people or somebody said they were thinking about maybe Twitter. Be very careful about how many platforms you're on. I think that focusing on just one or two is a better option, because it gives you the ability to really hone in and master those platforms. So before you move on to another platform, make sure that it's really the right one for you, because it really fits your audience. I did include this in here. This is one of the slides that I will share with you just so you have it. But these are all, I think, kind of the major platforms. You've got Facebook, which tends to skew a little bit older. 51% of adults are active users. They tend to be above 40. Like for the Hopper House, are the people who engage with us the most on Facebook tend to be 55 plus. We do have other followers, but those are the ones that engage. On Instagram, it just skews younger. It's a younger audience. They tend to be under 35. There are other people on there, but that's just, it skews younger. Yours could be different. Your followers could be different on each platform. I have one client whose followers are very male. They're very male and kind of in the 25 to 45 range. So it can be different for everybody. This is kind of a general, but Twitter definitely skews male. 63% of the active users are between 35 and 65. Snapchat skews very young. Gen Z and millennials. Pinterest is female, slightly older, but really Pinterest is it's almost like 30 across all age groups. It's pretty similar, but it's very female. TikTok is super young. It's, Gen Z, are millennial, and LinkedIn is slightly more male. 37% of adults age 30 to 49 are LinkedIn. So those are just some things to consider if you're thinking about using another platform. There's two of these slides. I know it's a lot, but I wanted to share it, and it's more of like a leave behind rather than let me just go through all this stuff right now, because it's a lot. But the pros and cons of all the platforms, and they're there. Nothing is perfect. And I'll just go through a couple, but Facebook is very much about community building. Facebook is where you share links. Facebook, you can share articles. You'll have a higher click-through rate on Facebook because you can actually put a link in your post. Facebook is also great for customer support, notifications, messaging. People are much more comfortable, I think, with direct messaging on Facebook. They have great marketing tools. And it's not the same as Instagram in terms of photos, but you can just do updates that don't include a photo. I don't think they have great engagement, but you know, there are some real pluses for Facebook. They also have great insights, which we'll talk about a little bit later. But if you want to drive website traffic, Facebook is the place to go. And that's primarily because that's really, we're not talking about cons yet, but that's one of the cons of Instagram. You cannot put a link in an Instagram post. And Instagram is really all about visuals. You know, it's a gallery. It's perfect for artists. It's, if you want to share your art, that is the number one place to be. And, you know, and then Twitter is about connecting and engaging with customers. It's very conversational. You can tweet as much as you want. Unlike Facebook and Instagram, you're not penalized when you post too often. So, but there's a shorter character limit. So in my mind, I like Twitter for that because it forces me to be concise and, you know, to get to the point. But anyway, we'll kind of skip through the others. And then the cons are, you know, Facebook is very pay to play. You know, Instagram can be like that a little bit too, but Facebook, if you really want to get followers and engagement on Facebook, they, you know, you boost your posts or you create a campaign, you can get around it, but you have to really engage on Facebook. Engagement does tend to be lower, but they are going to change the algorithm. I mean, you know, Zuckerberg has been in the news a lot lately, and he's really taken the heat, and they've talked a lot about changing the algorithm so that it's a little more chronological than what we're used to. So that could help your engagement. But and then on Instagram, like I said, you can't put a link on your post. The only place you can have a link is in your bio. But now, I don't know if you all heard the news, it's relatively new. Even anybody with, it used to be that you had to have 10,000 followers to have a link on Instagram, and now they have links in stories. So if you, so that's a great way to drive traffic to your website. There actually is a little icon in the stickers where you can click link, and then you can get people to an article or your website. Also on Instagram, you really need a hashtag strategy. I think one of the things that I see on pretty much everyone that I've ever worked with on Instagram is that people don't know how to use hashtags. So they always use really popular hashtags. And if they're super popular, you're going to get lost in the mix. You know, people aren't going to see your post because you're competing with other pages that have high engagement. The other thing on Instagram is because it is visual, you have to have really strong photography. You have to have really clear, good pictures. So whether it's a good camera or just iPhones take great pictures now too, but it's all about the visual. And then Twitter, of course, there's a shorter character limit. Twitter is a little slower in terms of being able to gain followers. There's a lot of negativity on Twitter. And I think Twitter, it requires more time spent on the app. So if you're interested in Twitter, for all the reasons that we had talked about before, you know, be sure that you really do. It takes a little more time. And so let's keep going. And then, so the next question is, so when are you going to share? So if you are just starting out, if you're a newbie and you're starting fresh on social media and you don't have a lot of information and insights, this is information from Hootsuite, who is a social media management platform, very reputable one. And they did a study back in 2021, and they said, these are the best times to post on social media. So if you're not sure when to post, take these into consideration until you get your own data and analytics so that you can then figure out when your customers are online. But I think this is kind of a good, you know, it's a good start. So if you have been on the platforms for a while, it is always best to use your own insights. And my recommendation is always, for everybody that I work with, Lisa and I just talked a month or so ago, always post at the same time every day. If you're kind of trying to get some information about your account or your content, what's your engagement, I feel like there is some marker by doing it, whether it's at noon every day or 10 a.m. or 6 p.m. or whatever, do it the same time every day for a while. And then you can really start to see what your engagement is. But the image on the left, that is from Facebook's insights. And what this does, when you're actually on the page, what you can do is, I don't know if you can see my cursor, it's funny. If you scroll over like Sunday, you'll see something down here. You'll actually start to see this line change a little bit. And you can see really, so this is kind of a general. So it's telling us, and keep in mind, this is very important. This is based on Pacific time because Facebook is in California. And so if you're looking at your analytics, jump ahead 3 hours. So what this is telling us is that generally our best time to post is at about, let's say noon, let's call it noon. So that would be maybe 3 o'clock, really our time. So if I posted every day at 3 o'clock, that would be a really good general time to reach the majority of our audience, because you can start to see later in the day, our viewership goes down. Just these are the insights that are going to help you post and be more effective with your post. And then also on Instagram, if you go into your insights, this is down at the very bottom under your followers, and it gives you your active times, and you can scroll through each page and you can see, and Instagram is actually based on real time. So it's based on where you are in the world. So, so on Instagram, you can see on Wednesdays, noon is a really good time for us. And that's kind of across the board. But anyway, those are just some ideas to give you an idea of when to post. My advice, if you are someone who wants to start posting more and getting more engagement and, really making the most of your social media, my best advice is to consider a social media management scheduling tool. I use a tool called Sprout Social. It's expensive. I pay for it. I'm a social media manager and I do other things with it. I do strategy and I do audits with it. There are less expensive ones, but the reason that I suggest it is that it allows you to plan in advance so that you're not doing that thing every day. What am I gonna post today? What am I gonna post tomorrow? Oh no, I forgot to post today. It allows you to plan in advance. It allows you to pre-schedule your posts. So you can schedule out all of your posts for the month if you want, or the week if you want. And it just frees up your time. You can also, there are some tools that give you alerts that will tell you, like, you could even do like keyword searches and things, but they can send you alerts. They can keep track of all your conversations. There are some where you can actually comment back if you want to spend a little bit more money. So you can do all of your engagement on the app versus in each separate platform. And then analytics. So if you're somebody who has multiple accounts, you could actually post to all those accounts from the scheduling tool. And it will show you all of your analytics in one place versus going to like Instagram to see your Instagram insights and going to Facebook to see your Facebook insights. So there's some real benefits to it, but as with anything, it costs. And there are a lot. And I mainly put these three here because these I personally have used later and I have used Hootsuite. I like them both. I have clients who use both and they like them. I know Buffer is another really good one. I wanted to put another one there, but there are other ones. All of these have generally like a 14-day trial period. And then they have like, 3 variations of plans that you can buy, going from, I don't want to say $10 a month. I don't know what it is now, but up to like $100 a month. But it can be, I don't know. It's peace of mind, I think, part of it. But anyway, it's just something to consider if you hadn't thought about it. And then, so we're going to get into content. Something I'd like to keep in mind is that people do not follow social media accounts because they want to be sold to. I think one of the biggest mistakes that people make on social media, when I very first started, I worked with this restaurant franchisee, and every day he would call me and say, put, $5 medium pizzas, because we have a lot of medium pies, and tomorrow is this, and it was like every day we were just like a bullhorn, come get our special, come get our special. And so that's not why people like and follow your page. You know, they want a relationship with you. Oh no, I lost my graphic. Anyway, people want to have a relationship with you. They want to know, they want to get your news. They want to hear about you. They're primarily on social media to be entertained. But when you start to plan your content, you've established your strategy. Now you're planning your content. Your content is basically anything that you're posting on social. It's photos, articles, links, videos, quizzes, polls, contests. So you're going to start out by looking at your existing posts, see what's working, what's not working, and then figure out what people are engaging with. And then you want to post more content like that. That's like the best advice, is like figure out what they like and give them more of that, as long as it serves your purpose. Because, for example, for Edward Hopper House, people love Hopper's paintings. Like, they do really well, but we are not a museum that has any of Hopper's really, expensive works. So we post them because we know that's what people like, but we also post other things that create a story and link back to why that's, why the house is important in the trajectory of his life. So, but you have to get a sense of what people want. And the best way to do that is your analytics. Don't just post content to show what you're doing, be a storyteller. Something that I think people forget a lot about when they post content is the copy. And the copy is especially on Instagram, the picture is king, but the copy will draw you in. So if they like your picture and they see your copy, make sure that like the first headline that you have in your post is a headline. It's something that's going to draw people in to read the rest of your copy, and then they'll click your link. They'll go to your link in bio because they want to know more about you. And so, getting too overly promotional with your post is really just you'll lose followers, you'll lose engagement. It's just something to be aware of. And I think the rule of thumb, I didn't put it in here, but it's for every 9 posts, the 10th post would be a salesy kind of post. We'll get into kind of types of content, but, just be careful of getting too over promotional. One thing that I do with my clients when I help them create a strategy is we create content pillars. It's actually something that I started, I think, about 1.5 years ago, and I love it. And it actually has made my life so much easier because I think about my content way, but it's basically, you think of it as like a set of themes or topics that you basically are going to keep in mind when you start to plan your content. And that really is the key, is trying to plan your content out so that you're not just posting every day. And the purpose is that you can have a really well balanced mix of content. Your messaging is fresh, you're still aligned with your goals, and you're still telling your story, but you're not being overly salesy, because sometimes those posts that aren't click our website, people will still link in your profile. Like, people still want to learn about you, but you have to give them kind of a wide range of who you are in order to paint the picture of your personal brand. So these are examples. So this is an example of what I mean by content pillars. One would be personal, one is educational, one is entertainment, one is inspiring, and then promotional. So all of your content should fit into these categories. The personal is there to show the human side of your business, because think about, like, back in the day before we had social media, you were just maybe sending out a direct mail card, or like maybe doing a radio ad if you had the budget. But the whole beauty of social media is that you get to see the person behind the brand, and that's really what people want to see, because people will buy from a person, not a brand. I love behind the scenes stuff, and I'll show you some examples, but another one is educational. This is free, just provides value to your followers, and it builds loyalty. So you're sharing your expertise, but you're also giving them something for free and making them feel good about being on your page, and then they come back for more. entertainment. It's why everybody's on social media. It's fun, it's relatable, makes people think you're just like them. And inspiring posts. Inspiring, when you think of inspiring, you were saying quotes, but the part about inspiring is it gets across the vision of who you are. And if you choose a quote, that's a statement about your brand, but it celebrates your message, your values, and your vision behind your brand. And people want to be inspired. Entertaining and inspiring are the two top reasons that people are on social media. And then promotional. We all know promotional because that's, buy now. But so those are, really, and anybody could use these, but you might create your own content pillars. So just an example of personal, this is one that I love. It's actually pretty recent. It's from the Getty Museum, and it's a really cool behind the scenes. And what I love the most about this is that it's not that fancy. It's actually very unfancy. But it's just, they're basically going behind the scenes and they're saying, it's a video, and they're saying, imagine what would happen if to the art, if an earthquake happened in California, and here's what we do to protect it. So it's a very cheeky little video with this girl, and it's really just kind of like her floating head throughout all of the different scenes, but it's cool, and you watch the entire thing. So it's just behind the scenes, it's something personal. And when people see posts like this, it makes them interested to go and look at your other posts. Educational. This is a site called Edit, and it is sort of like a beauty, sort of skincare site. And what they do is they have influencers who do their stories, and they will literally tell you about their skincare routine. So they take all their makeup off and they tell you like the 5 or 6 products that they use, but it's very, it's educational. And that my daughter had acne, and I literally went back to this site and I was looking at what they said about acne because it was so engaging. But it is, you have to, so things don't have to be super polished. And I think that's the beauty of social media. You don't have to have a really beautiful video, and it doesn't have to be filmed on, the best camera. It's your iPhone. And this one, some of my favorite content for entertaining is social media holidays. And this was Bring Your Dog to Work Day. And it's just cute. This woman, she works at a nail salon, and she put her dog behind her. And it's actually, the one on the left is actually a video of the dog and how he's like kind of scooching around behind her, but it's really cute. So I do have I think I put it in here. Yeah, so there is a link in here. It's HubSpot. I use these every year. Every year I go to HubSpot and I fill my social media calendar with, these are the ones that make sense for Hopper House. And then I try to create content around those. And those tend to be some of the highest engaged posts that we do on all of our platforms. And then the next one is REI. I love REI. And one of the reasons that I always love them is because what they tend to do is they use, it's called user generated content. A lot of their posts, if not the majority of their posts, are pictures that people have shared with them, and then they tag the person in the post. And this is, a lot of their posts are people wearing their products, but this was just a really beautiful picture of the outdoors, and it says everything you ever wanted to know about their brand, and what they stand for and what's important to them. And so sharing user generated content is something that works really well for Hopper House. There's some of our top posts. We do Hopper Happens and we do fan art. But if you are the kind of brand who can share content that other people are using on social media, it's a great way to build your audience and get engagement. And then promotional, I don't even think you needed an example of promotional, but this is just one, because obviously you click a link. And so what I would say is use this sparingly, do the other things more, but use those sort of pillars to create your content. We're going to move on to engagement. Looking at the time. Oh my, okay, let's go. Remember that you're building relationships. You're not followers. The follower game is a tricky one. And I really, truly could argue that engagement on any platform, you name the platform, it is truly as important, if not more important than what you post. And when I say engagement, I'm talking about inbound and outbound. Inbound is messages from your followers, including comments on your post and direct messages. And then outbound are messages that you send on other people's posts or DMs, because this is social. This is the social part of social media, because you're really in a conversation, and that's what it's all about. That's why, I mean, I don't even know how many years ago, digital surpassed television. So TV advertising spend is way down, and it's why things like this are way up. But if somebody's commenting on your post, it is absolutely imperative that you respond with anything, whether it's an emoji or a thank you or whatever, but it has to be authentic. My suggestion is, instead of checking your messages randomly throughout the day, set a time, whatever works best for you, in the morning, in the afternoon, and at night. And my suggestion is set your alarm for 15 minutes or 10 minutes, or I swear to you, 2 minutes, just 2 minutes, because the idea is to create a system that becomes a habit that you just do without even thinking about it. I'm not saying wake up and check your phone, because I'm not a big fan of that. But if you set a time to check, because you want to comment back to people, if you're really trying to build an audience in a community, and be conversational, use human language to engage, not corporate speak. I always like to reply with their username, at whatever their username is. It's just like a little extra step. But I would say too, don't ever be afraid to make a mistake. We've made mistakes. I've made mistakes on the Hopper House. I posted something that wasn't even, we thought it was a journal by Edward Hopper. And it was actually someone's art project for college. And we were going to take it down. And then we said, we got in touch, the woman who got in touch with us, we ended up keeping it up, but we changed the copy and said, we're so sorry, we made a mistake. It was one of our most successful posts that entire year. She shared it, people commented on it, but it was sort of cool, because we were like, oh, I about had a heart attack when I realized it wasn't Hopper's journal. But it tricked us. But I do love that about social media, because it just shows the human part of you, The next one is audience building. So, we talked about engagement. So engagement in and of itself is audience building. These are the people who read your blog, they share your posts. They're just the ones, they just show up for you. They're your people. We talked about your audience before. Know them, engage with them, figure out where they're at, engage with them one-on-one. On Instagram and Twitter, you can search relevant hashtags. Obviously, for me, I search Edward Hopper, I search Josephine Hopper, Edward Hopper inspired, and things like that. But, you figure out what your keywords are for your industry and start to search those hashtags, and you'll find people. On Facebook, I love groups on Facebook. There's some really amazing, I'm in multiple groups on Facebook. You cannot reply to in a group as a business page, but you can reply as your personal page, and you can promote your personal page in a business if you're doing it in sort of a demure way. I don't know if that's a word, but never, ever, ever, ever pay for followers. It is the death of your account. You will have to shut your account down. You are going, as you get more active on social media, you're going to start getting direct messages that say, we can help you build your followers. Don't do it. What happens is when you pay for followers, they're bots. And if you have a large following, but your following isn't engaged, Instagram sees that. Their algorithm, it's a sort of a computer. And when you have too many followers and you're not getting any engagement, they can see that, and their algorithm will not show your posts because your followers are fake, which is terrible. But people have shut their pages down for that. But the thing about audience building is really just making sure that you're listening, making sure that you're on social media to hear what people are saying. You don't always have to comment on it, but you want to know what people are saying about you, because that's information and insight that you can take into your business and say, wow, that's something that we should consider. And then if you do make a change, then you can go back out and say, listen, we made this change because we heard you and you're a hero, you know. On Facebook, this is one of my biggest, it's a little trick. I don't know if anybody knows this one, but so when you post on Facebook and then you go into your post and you see the likes, like it'll say you have 57 likes on Facebook. So you click on your likes and then it will bring up a screen that looks like this. And you can see some say liked, some say invite. You can actually click on these, and I usually do it for every post, invite, 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 invite. And what happens is Facebook will send an invite to all of those people. They don't have to invite your page. Like this, yeah, like there's somebody on here who was invited, but they didn't like it, but that's their choice. But it's a way, these are people who are interested in your content. They're not following you right now, but boy, you know, they've liked it, and that says a lot. So that's a little trick on Facebook. And on Instagram, use hashtags. You can use up to 30 hashtags per post. I know that people hear that number and they think that that's too much, but even Instagram themselves, Adam Mosseri, who's the head of Instagram, even he says, listen, this is how you get followed on Instagram. So if that's really what you're looking for, use all the hashtags. Just create some space in between your copy and the post, or you can put it in the first comment, but I think they frown on that. But the one thing to really be aware of is when you're searching hashtags, and this is the search bar on Instagram, you can see like the word art, it has 884 million posts, which means that if you use hashtag art in your post, you're competing with so many other people. What you're really looking for when you search are somewhere between 10,000 and 250,000. What happens is if you can rank in the less popular hashtags, then Instagram, and you get engagement, Instagram, the algorithm will share your post with more people. And then if you have higher, like 250,000 used hashtag, it'll get shown in those higher ones too. It's just how you use it. It's how a post can go viral, really. But you got to use the low and the high, a combination. This is the last section. It's measuring success. Knowledge is power. It's what I love. When I was in corporate marketing, I was a freak about numbers, and it's just one of my favorite things about social media, because you just know, as soon as you put something out there, how it's doing. So understanding your audience and their behavior it's just the way that you are going to create your content. It's how you're going to reach your goal. You can see how your posts are doing, so you know if they're working or not. And if they're not working, stop. But do not make sweeping changes. If your content isn't working, my advice to you, take a look at the time of day, take a look at your copy. Maybe you're using too much copy. Maybe your headline's not good. Are your images clear? You don't have to make big changes, but just be open to reading the data and experimenting, because I think social media is truly it is one big experiment. All of the platforms that we have that I had talked about earlier have analytics. Some have better than others. I think Facebook and Instagram are the best. Twitter has good analytics too. But here's, scheduling platforms can be really helpful because they roll all the analytics up for you. How to measure success on Facebook. So I recommend, if you are a business and if you want to be on Facebook, I recommend that you create a Facebook business page. The really sad truth is that if you're a personal page on Facebook, you cannot convert to a business page. You used to be able to, but they stopped that function, which is unfortunate. And I know that's tough because you already have a following on a personal page, but I do think the analytics are really important. And I do think that the tools, Facebook has a ton of tools that you can use to get engagement and to market your business. Creator Studio is on Facebook business pages, and it is so helpful to anybody who's a business on Facebook. And on Instagram, I use this a lot. I actually have my own analytics tool, but I go into this a lot because I'm on the app a lot and I just look at it and I always want to see. So these are the Hopper House. This was a good month for Hopper House because we had Nighthawks, which always does really well. But if you're a business on Instagram, I recommend converting to an Instagram a business or a creator account. And we'll get into that in a second about what they are, but analytics are great on Instagram. The tools that they have also help you market your business. You can boost posts. You can do, there's a lot of different things that you can do as a business on Instagram that you can't do as a personal page. And you can switch your personal page to a business page, and you can switch your business page back to a personal page if you wanted. If you switch it back, just know you will lose all your data. Your data will start over again when you switch it back. But those are two big things. And the easiest way to do that, if you want to do it, you would just go into your settings on Instagram and scroll down, and you can look and see if you're a professional, if you're a personal page. Well, if you don't have settings, I guess you're not really a business page. But so the question is, Instagram, do you want to be a business page or a creator page? Instagram themselves suggests, when they first came out with this, which was I think a couple years ago, that a creator account is really best for public figures like celebrities, people that create content like influencers, photographers, artists, whereas a business account is more for like a retailer, a local business, a brand, organization. And creator accounts are great. And what is different about creator accounts is they actually have access to royalty-free music. So if you want to do a reel, you could literally type in, Justin Timberlake, and you could use Justin Timberlake's song in your reel if you wanted. But I think the biggest downfall of creator is that you can't use a scheduling app. You have to do everything in the app, which, that's just it's not as easy. And I apologize, I was trying to get a really good screenshot of this. I did put at the very bottom here, because I'll share this with you. If you are considering an Instagram business account or a creator account, there's a link down here that I can include that just gives you a little more history about, which one's which. But, really the creator account, it says, third-party app, they just don't have, you can't do scheduling, but they'd really do everything else except for they don't have the music on here. You actually have more access to music on a creator account. And then really lastly is how to measure success on Twitter. Twitter actually has a separate site for analytics. It's analytics.twitter.com. But the way this works is pretty much if you're logged into Twitter, you can just go to the site and it'll populate. If you're not on Twitter, when you go to the site, you just have to log in like you're on Twitter. It's not as robust as Facebook and Instagram, but you can track progress. I mean, they have great insights. They tell you, your engagement, your reach, and you can actually see, one of the things that I like is you can see a little bit more who your top mentions are. That one's sort of weird. We got shared by someone on this page, but you can really see who your top fans are. So that's a way to audience build, because then you can go in and you can see, who's really liking us and sharing our stuff. And then you can go right to their page and like and comment on their stuff as well. And then, just kind of overall, the metrics that you're going to track when you are doing your social media, that's going to depend on what your goals are. What I suggest is if you're just starting out and you're not exactly sure, I would just get on your analytics and just write down where you are now, write the numbers down, your reach, your impressions, your engagement, which is basically all of your post interactions, your followers, your profile clicks, your website clicks. Just write down as much as you can, because you're basically creating a baseline. And then I would suggest just setting a goal to just increase. Let's say you want to increase 10% and pick a date. That's part of the roadmap, and I would suggest somewhere between 1 and 3 months, because you don't want to wait too long, but you want to give it some time to see how it's working. And then just check your progress. I go back on the app, a lot. I go, especially on I go more on Instagram than I do on Facebook, but I check to see how it's going, because if I'm doing something that people don't like, I don't want to do that anymore. And then, the other thing is, just, you're going to know when you've arrived. And then when you have, then you set new goals, and you just keep stretching. So the recap is this: you make a plan and you set your goals. Consider a social media management scheduling tool. Plan your content, do your research, create pillars, and engage. You're just creating that system, that daily system that becomes a habit. But make sure that if you do create a system, that it's realistic, which is why I said 2 minutes. I just listened to a podcast the other day where someone said, if you really want to create a habit, just try to do something for 2 minutes every day. 2 minutes is just, it's like a mind trick. But whatever is realistic for you, but just engaging every day is important if you really want to build your community and a brand. And then just monitor your performance. And that is it. I know we're at 8 o'clock, and I apologize, it's gone a little over. I think what we're going to do now is I think we're going to open it up to the chat, right? Oh boy. Okay, good. We have a lot of questions. And I'm okay. I apologize to everyone for going over, saying some people might have to jump off now. Oh my, it's a lot. Let's see. We'll start at the top.
So just
Yeah.
because I've been watching them pop up while you were presenting.
Oh, good. Okay, yeah.
So you don't have to go through the whole thing.
Oh, perfect. Okay, good. Yeah.
Let's see. Okay, some of them you've since addressed. So, okay, well, here's a good one. How do you suggest designing a hashtag strategy? You kind of touched on that a little bit.
That's so good. Yeah. No, I mean, that I think is really important. I really kind of skimmed over that. I actually work with clients to create a hashtag strategy, but I can tell you that it's a lot of research. And so basically what I like to do is think of it like this. Like, you want to have so if you're going to use 30 hashtags, or if you just want to use 10 hashtags, make sure that a portion of your hashtags are on the low end of 10,000, somewhere maybe in the middle of 25,000, somewhere in the middle of 50,000, and go upwards and upwards. Because like I said, the game, it's a game. The whole game of it is to rank in the lower used hashtags so that you can then get shared into the higher used hashtags. And then ultimately that's how you get on the Explore page. So yeah, but I would try to stay, I mean, unless you have really great engagement, I would stay away from the hashtags that are anywhere above 250, definitely not 1 million. It can be, but that's my suggestion.
Great. There's another question, and I think people should feel free to chime in. I wanted to capture the questions that people typed in, Laurie.
Sure.
There was a question: should you boost your posts?
Such a good question. It's funny. I have done both. I've created ad campaigns and I boosted posts. I believe that ad campaigns are more robust. You have to, if you're going to do an ad campaign, whether you're on Facebook or Instagram, you have to go on Facebook Business Manager. So boosting a post is a good alternative. I actually worked with a client who got so used to boosting posts that once he stopped boosting his post, he started not seeing the same traction. And then I think he got really annoyed is a good word for it, because it is pay to play. I think if you want to boost your posts, what my number one suggestion would be is don't just boost a post. Like if unless it's timely, unless you're trying to get people to do something tomorrow, then you definitely boost a post. But if let's say you want to gain more followers on Instagram or even Facebook, what I would do is I would go to the post that has the highest engagement. So let's say you have a post that has, 400 likes and 30 comments or something. Boost that post, Because what will happen is that when that post gets boosted, it already has like automatic credibility because people are already engaging with it. And so people are going to see that post and say, oh, I want to see more from this person. But again, make sure that it aligns with your goals. Make sure it's representative of what you want to put out there. But yeah, I mean, you absolutely can boost posts. I try to stay away from it too much because I feel like it can be a drug. That's the thing. Facebook is definitely pay to play, but you don't need to. That I think is the message. You don't have to boost your post. You can do it, but you need to work a little bit. You got to engage and make sure you have good content.
And just a related question, I should say, I know it's 8:08, so maybe like a couple more questions. Is that okay, Laurie? And then
I'm fine. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think everybody, it's what everybody else thinks. I'm totally fine.
Okay, just while you're on the topic of boosting, there's a question about what's the difference between boosting posts and doing an ad campaign?
That's a good question. So, so Facebook has something called, Facebook owns Instagram. And so Facebook created Business Manager for businesses on social media. And what it allows you to do, it is, you literally could just search Facebook Business Manager and you'll find the page, and you can get there and you can upload your page to it. But it has, so like when you boost a post, if you've ever done that, you can choose your audience. You can choose their geographic location. You can choose, like, it's limited, there's maybe 4 or 5 things that you can choose to do to boost that post. But if you go to Facebook Business Manager and you actually create an ad campaign, there are maybe 10 different types of campaigns. You can do an awareness campaign. You can do an engagement campaign. It depends. You have all of these options to allow Facebook to put an ad out there, either on Facebook or Instagram, that really aligns with whatever strategy it is you're looking for. So it might be getting visits to your website. It could be, getting more, comments, or I don't know. There's just a more robust platform that allows you to put more information in that makes that campaign that much more successful. It's a little more time consuming, but it's very much worth it if you have something that you can advertise for a while. I wouldn't do a short presentation on Facebook Business Manager. I wouldn't do a short ad campaign. I would give something at least a week, if not longer, to really gain some traction. But yeah, good. That's a good question.
Great. Okay. And I think I will put this one out as maybe the last question of the evening, because I think it's one that a lot of people probably ask. If you wanted to be noticed, if you're trying to get noticed by galleries, what tips do you have? What kind of strategy? I'm sure that's a bigger answer, but anything you want to share for folks?
Well, it's a great question, but it's for anything. If you're trying to get noticed by a gallery, don't ever tag them. People have a thing like, if you want to get seen, you can tag the gallery, and you think that, oh, the gallery's then gonna like my post and maybe share it too. No, the tagging, when you tag someone in a post, I'm getting off track, but when you tag somebody in a post, it's usually tagging somebody who is in the photo or something. But so if you want to get noticed by a gallery, well, 2 things I would say. One is, first of all, post great content, because when that gallery sees you and goes to your page, you want them to see who you are. You want them to notice you. I would also go to that gallery page and comment on their posts. Absolutely engage with them, follow them, like them, find them on other platforms too. So if you're also on Facebook and they're on Facebook, find them on that platform and engage with them there too. I don't think it hurts to go to the gallery, and let them know that you're on Facebook, and you're very interested in them. And then I think that goes for anything, whether it's a gallery you're interested in, or You know I'm working with somebody right now who wants to find publishers. So, it's all about engaging, and it's consistent. It's not just one time or another. It is consistent. And somebody was just telling me recently that they don't want to post that much anymore. But once they started talking to people who were getting published, they realized they were posting more often than them. And those people were actually getting viewership from those publishers. So sort of prove that point, but be consistent, post on your own social media, and then be sure to engage with them. And also look at what they're engaging with. You can even look at who's tagging them. So yeah, I would say just being active every day. Yeah.
Excellent. Well, that brings us to 8:13.
Oh my God.
So thank you so much, Laurie, and everyone. Laurie's information is up on the screen, and I imagine you are okay with us contacting you.
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
So
Yeah.
greatly appreciated.
Yeah.
And this, as you know, this session was recorded, so I will be sending it out to everyone who registered. So look out for a follow-up from ACOR with the recording, and I will also ask you to complete a quick survey.
Yeah, I'd like to hear too. And
yes.
Very good. And I will send you a shortened deck too. Probably not tonight, but I'll get it out to you tomorrow. Just something short that people can have like a takeaway.
Excellent.
And Cheryl, remind everybody to join ACOR.
Yeah.
If they like the workshop.
Yeah, absolutely. So as I mentioned earlier, and thank you, Lisa. Lisa's on our board, and she's very good about reminding me about the things that I should be promoting about our organization.
Membership.
Yes. So if you are a member, individual membership is only $35. So if you paid $10 for this workshop, if you you can become a member at $35, and then you can come to all the other professional development workshops for free. It's a benefit of membership. Just something to consider. But thank you all. And thank you, Laurie.
Thank you. I loved it. I'm so happy you invited me to do this. So thanks.
Fantastic.
Thanks, Laurie.
Have a great night, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, guys. Bye.
Thanks.